respect for territorial integrity and sovereignty. And fifth, by sharing experiences and new initiatives. India's digital public infrastructure, its unified payment interface, the Gati Shakti infrastructure all hold a larger relevance. The International Solar Alliance, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, the Global Biofuel Alliance, Mission Life, and the International Big Cat Alliance are similarly initiatives of common interest. As a first responder, be it for natural calamities, health emergencies, or economic crisis, we seek to do our fair share. Excellencies, addressing conflicts and tensions effectively is a particular need of the day. Prime Minister Modi has emphasized that this is not an era of war. Disputes and differences must be settled by dialogue and diplomacy. Agreements, once reached, must be scrupulously respected. International law should be adhered to without exception, and there should be zero tolerance for terrorism. Excellencies, the situation in the Middle East, West Asia for us, is an understandable concern. There is a widespread anxiety that the conflict would spread further in the region. Maritime trade has also been deeply affected. The human and material consequences of further escalation are truly serious. Any approach has to be fair and durable, leading to a two-state solution. Excellencies, we meet in difficult circumstances. The world must be prepared to think afresh on long-standing challenges. Our gathering is a message that we are indeed prepared to do so. I thank you for your attention.
Большое спасибо. Индия демонстрирует уникальные темпы роста, 7,5% ВВП и народонаселение 10 миллионов плюс каждый год. Это, конечно, впечатляет. Вносит серьезный вклад в развитие нашей организации. И я хочу вас поздравить с успехами, которые Индия демонстрирует. Спасибо большое. Пожалуйста, слово зампремьер-министра Объединенных Арабских Эмиратов.
أصحاب الفخامة والسمو سيدات والسادة، فخامة الرئيس فلاديمير بوتين رئيس روسيا الاتحادية، أود في البداية أن أنقل تحيات صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن زايد آل نهيان.
All right, on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit, as a statement that has been made on part of India by the External Affairs Minister Dr. S Jaishankar, and this is a point, Rishabh, that India time and again has been reiterating where it stands when it comes to the conflict that has been taking place in West Asia, and of course when it comes to the stand as far as which concerns of terror.
Well, definitely, India is very clear that terrorism cannot have any support. Zero tolerance on terrorism is India's goal and India's mantra. Yesterday, also, Prime Minister spoke about this, saying that you cannot have double standards on terror and terror financing. In a way, very categorically telling China also that though we are getting back, we are trying to normalize the situation between ourselves bilaterally, but your support to Pakistan and your money being used for terror financing in India is something that cannot be tolerated. And that's the reason the double standards word was used by Prime Minister Modi yesterday at the BRICS Summit. Now, External Affairs Minister also very categorically saying that, there can be no tolerance on terrorism. That is something India is firm on. Apart from that, India has put forward very categorically what its stand on Russia, Ukraine, or West Asia is. Anywhere there is a conflict, there is a need of dialogue, is what India advocates.
Absolutely. So not an era of war, it's dialogue and diplomacy, agreements that must be respected, zero tolerance to even when it comes to terrorism, and also when it comes to international laws that must be adhered to. However, he's been also speaking, Rishabh, on the growing anxiety on what's happening in West Asia as far as trade that has been affected, human and material, when it comes to the assets that have also been affected because of the ongoing conflict.
Well, definitely, what's happening in West Asia, the way things have been affected because of that, that is definitely a challenge for the region and as a globe as well. It affects the supply line, it affects the food security in many areas. And we have seen how things are unfolding in West Asia. If this escalates further, the whole of Red Sea, Suez Canal route becomes untenable for people. So the way things are developing in West Asia, India
so
is
reiterating, as far as India's stand is concerned, where there is violence, where there is conflict, where there is war, let's listen in again to the External Affairs Minister, his statement being made on the sidelines of the BRICS Summit in Russia.
Of how profoundly the old order is changing. At the same time, many iniquities of the past also continue. In fact, they have assumed new forms and manifestations. We see that in the access to developmental resources and modern technology and efficiencies. Let us also recognize that the benefits of globalization have been very uneven. Adding to all that, the COVID pandemic and multiple conflicts have aggravated the burdens borne by the global South. Concerns of health, food, and fuel security are particularly acute. The Summit of the Future underlined that the world is in real danger of falling significantly behind in realizing SDG targets. How do we reconcile this contradiction and ensure that the benefits of change reach those who are currently left behind? How do we create a more equitable global order? First, by strengthening and expanding platforms of an independent nature, and by widening the choices in different domains and minimizing undue reliance on those that can be leveraged. This is really where BRICS can make a difference for the global South. Second, by reforming established institutions and mechanisms, especially the UN Security Council in the permanent and the non-permanent categories. So too, the multilateral development banks, whose working procedures are just as outdated as that of the UN. India initiated an effort during its G20 presidency, and we are glad to see that Brazil is taking it forward. Third, by democratizing the global economy through creating more production hubs. The COVID experience is a sharp reminder of the need for more resilient, redundant, and shorter supply chains. For essential needs, every region legitimately aspires to create their own production capabilities. Fourth, by correcting distortions in global infrastructure that are a legacy from the colonial era. The world urgently needs more connectivity options